The council chamber of the Crithian Empire gleamed with bioluminescent panels, casting an eerie blue glow across the assembled delegates. Commander Zexthor stood at the center, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting light in sharp, anxious patterns. Before him sat the human mercenary they had summoned across 3 star systems. Captain Roan Vale leaned back in his chair, boots propped casually on the obsidian table. His weathered face bore scars from a dozen campaigns, and his eyes held the quiet confidence of someone who had stared down death more times than he cared to count. "Let me get this straight," Roan said, rolling a toothpick between his teeth. "You want me to hunt something that's wiped out 12 of your best military squads?" Zexthor's mandibles clicked nervously. "Vrykor is not merely a creature, Captain Vale. It is a plague, a nightmare given flesh. Our legends speak of it as the devourer of worlds, though we believe such tales to be myth until 6 cycles ago." 6 months, another delegate interjected, her voice trembling. 6 of your Earth months since it emerged from the deep caverns. 3 colonies evacuated. 47 warriors dead. Our plasma weapons barely singe its hide. Roan raised an eyebrow. "And you think a human with a rifle can do better?" "We have studied your species extensively, Captain," Zexthor said. "Humans possess a peculiar quality. You call it stubbornness, we believe. You do not accept impossibility as we do. You improvise, adapt, survive where logic dictates you should perish." A grin tugged at Roan's lips. That's one way to put it. He swung his feet down and stood. "Show me what I'm dealing with." The holographic projection materialized above the table, and even Roan's steady composure flickered. Vrykor stood nearly 20 feet tall, its body a mass of obsidian scales and corded muscle. 6 eyes burned crimson across its elongated skull, and its maw bristled with teeth the size of combat knives. Forearms ended in claws that could shred steel, and a spiked tail whipped behind it like a living battering ram. "Christ," Roan muttered. "That's not a beast. That's a walking extinction event." "Indeed," Zexthor confirmed. "Our scans indicate heightened aggression hormones, accelerated healing capabilities, and intelligence that borders on sapience. It anticipates our tactics, sets traps, hunts our hunters." Roan studied the creature in silence, his mind already cataloging possibilities. Then he noticed something, a detail so small that the Crethians had likely dismissed it entirely. "This footage," he said, pointing to a segment where Vrykor had cornered a squad of soldiers. "Right there. Freeze it." The image paused. Vrykor towered over 3 cowering Crithians, claws raised for the killing blow. But in that frozen moment, Roan saw what they had missed. The creature's eyes weren't fixed on the soldiers. They were darting to the sides, to the shadows, scanning for additional threats. "It's scared," Roan said softly. Zexthor's exoskeleton flashed with indignation. "Impossible. Vrykor knows no fear." "It is a cornered animal," Roan interrupted. "Everything you've done, the hunting parties, the plasma fire, the military cordons, you've been backing it into a corner, making it think it's fighting for survival. That is precisely what—" "No." Roan's voice carried the weight of certainty. "That's what you've made it into. I'm betting it wasn't always this way." 3 days later, Roan stood alone at the entrance to the deep caverns, the twin suns of Crythia casting long shadows across the barren landscape. His rifle remained strapped to his back, untouched. Instead, he carried a single device, a translator unit modified to emit subsonic frequencies. The Crythian observers watched from their orbital station, certain they were about to witness the humans' gruesome demise. Roan descended into darkness, his helmet's lights cutting through the gloom. The cavern walls bore fresh claw marks and the air reeked of ozone and something primal. He walked for hours, following the trail of destruction, until he reached a massive chamber where the bones of the Crythian warriors lay scattered like kindling. And there, in the center, Vrykor waited. The creature rose to its full height, all 6 eyes locking onto the human. A growl rumbled from its chest, shaking loose stones from the ceiling. Its claws flexed, ready to tear this intruder apart like all the others. Roan didn't reach for his weapon. He simply stood there, meeting those burning eyes with calm understanding. Then he activated the translator. The device hummed, projecting patterns of sound that rippled through the chamber. Not words, but intent, curiosity, peace, recognition. Vrykor's growl faltered, Its massive head tilted, confusion evident in the way its eyes narrowed. No one had ever approached it without violence. No one had ever tried to communicate. Roan took a slow step forward, then another. His heart hammered in his chest, but his movements remained steady. He had done this before, with the warhounds of Arcturus Prime, with the razorbacks of Titan Colony. Predators, all of them, until someone showed them they didn't have to be. Easy there, big guy, Roan murmured. Though the translator couldn't convey his words, only his tone. Nobody's here to hurt you. Vrakor's claws dug into the stone floor, muscles coiled. One swipe could end this strange tiny creature. But something in the human's posture, in the absence of that familiar killing intent, gave it pause. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Then slowly, impossibly, Vrakor lowered itself to the ground. Not in submission, but in something deeper, recognition. Here was a being that saw it not as a monster, but as what it truly was, a frightened, cornered survivor lashing out at a world that had only shown it violence. Roan approached until he stood within arm's reach of the creature's massive head. He extended his hand, palm open, and waited. Vrakor's breath came in hot blasts, washing over the human. Then, with a gentleness that belied its monstrous form, it pressed its scaled snout against Roan's palm. In orbit above, the Crithian observers sat in stunned silence. When Roan emerged from the caverns 3 hours later, Vrakor walked beside him, its massive form casting a shadow that stretched across the desert. The creature's eyes no longer burned with rage. They held something closer to curiosity, even trust. Commander Zexthor's voice crackled over the comm. Captain Vale, we do not understand. You were contracted to eliminate the threat. Roan glanced up at his new companion, who tilted its head in that same quizzical manner. Threats eliminated, Commander. Vrakor here won't be attacking any more colonies. But how did you? You hired a human, Roan said simply. We don't just survive the impossible. Sometimes we befriend it. As the twin suns set over Krithia, casting the world in hues of amber and crimson, Captain Roan Vale and Vrakor walked toward the transport ship. Behind them, the Crithian Empire learned a lesson that would echo through the galaxy for generations. When you invite a human to face a monster, don't be surprised if they come back with a friend.